Hey, some exciting stuff. How about this Super Bowl? I wasn't expecting this. I was expecting the Packers and Patriots to face off next week in the Super Bowl. And we'll talk about football next week. We'll talk about Super Bowl and I'll break it down. I still haven't made my picks yet as far as who's going to win in the Super Bowl. I still want to take some time. I'm actually a little bit nervous and a little bit cautious that this may be a blowout of a game. But I'm going to take some time. I'm going to think on it. I'm going to reflect on it. And then I'll make my picks next week. I actually wasn't even going to record a podcast this week. I wasn't even going to do it because I don't want to reach for segments or try to fill space in. This 2 weeks from the championship games to the Super Bowl is a little bit of a drag. And I was actually going to write a column. I wasn't sure about what, but I was going to take the time to do that. I haven't written a column in some time on sportsblog.com. So I actually was going to record this week. And actually I decided to do an emergency podcast because this LeBron, so for everybody that don't know, I do NFL and NBA and general sports talk, but mostly NFL, NBA. And when the NFL, it's mostly Vikings talk. Everyone knows I'm a big Minnesota Vikings fan. But I'm a big NBA fan as well. And I was going to take this week off until this whole LeBron. Now, for everybody that don't know me, I used to do a show called Lock 'em Up Hoops. I had two co-hosts with me before doing this solo podcast now. I'm not a LeBron James hater. At all. I am a LeBron neutral guy. I really want to like LeBron, but he does do a lot of goofy stuff sometimes that makes it hard. But he's also great, so I can't dismiss that as well. I'm not a LeBron hater. I've got like 6 pairs of LeBron shoes. I think his shoes are amazing, whatever. This is something about LeBron James that I just do not like. And I'm sure a lot of people don't like. And I'm sure all the LeBron apologists are like, oh, you're just a hater. You don't understand the greatness of LeBron James. But he does certain stuff like this. It just seems like he makes it more than basketball sometimes. Now, this in particular, it's exactly about basketball. But the way he's kind of going about it, it kind of looks a little bit soap opera-ish. And let me explain. So earlier this week, LeBron James came out and it was just like, they lost to the Pelicans. They came back. I think they lost by about 2 points. They lost to the Pelicans. And after the game, he was just like, we need a playmaker and, we need to do this and our roster's bad. And let me read from this. So according to Mike Chiari, I hope I'm saying your name right. Mike Chiari, a Bleacher Report, he wrote a column, Mike Chiari did, that LeBron was, quote, was critical of his team's roster construction and preparedness to repeat as NBA champions. And my first thought in reading that was, wait, huh? What is he mad at? He's mad at himself? Isn't this the guy, LeBron James, that constructed this team that he has right now? Now, as far as whether they're prepared or not to repeat as NBA champions, only the Cavaliers can answer that. But as far as the roster that he's mad at, as far as the roster construction, this is the team that he built. Don't forget, what was it in 2014? After LeBron became a free agent, his last year playing in Miami, this is while he's a free agent. According to Brian Windhorst, LeBron James knew about the Kevin Love trade weeks before it even happened as a free agent. In fact, this is from Fox Sports Ohio. This is on July 9th, 2014. Fox Sports Ohio posted a story on their website, quote, the Cleveland Cavaliers outlined potential trade scenarios involving Kevin Love with Rich Paul, who happens to be LeBron James' agent. This was according to 2 sources that told FoxSportsOhio.com. I don't understand what this means. So it's not like that, oh, we just know about it. What LeBron James was not going to go back to Cleveland just for the sake of coming back to the land, and it's the feel-good story, and let's make good with it. That wasn't it. That was part of it. What was equally as important was the roster that LeBron James was going to come back to. He didn't want to come back to some scrubs. He didn't want to come back and try to have to, work hard or not necessarily work hard. He works hard at what he does, but basically be a one-man show. 2015, after the season, it was LeBron James and Rich Paul who both spoke out and said, and to sources and that, later shared it out, that said, basically, we expect our client, and I'm paraphrasing, but they didn't say this exactly, but the way they were talking about this, we expect our client Tristan Thompson, or also in LeBron James' case, his client and his teammate Tristan Thompson, we expect him to get a new lucrative contract extension from the Cleveland Cavaliers. What happened a couple of weeks later, or a month or so later, the Cleveland Cavaliers and Tristan Thompson agreed to a 5-year, $82 million contract, right? Last season, or not even last season, before this season started, 2016 during the offseason, before this 2016-2017 NBA season started, right? LeBron James made it very public how he wanted his boy J.R. Smith to get a new deal. It's ridiculous what happened then. Before the season started, a couple weeks later, the Cavs signed J.R. Smith to a 4-year, $57 million deal. And let's not forget either. So hold up. There's more to that. There's more to that influence on the roster that LeBron James had. What was this? On July 1st, I believe this was when free agency started. July 1st, Zach Lowe of ESPN tweeted out. This was at 12:50 p.m. The Milwaukee Bucks are nearing a 4-year, $38 million deal for Matthew Dellavedova, sources tell. Now, this was on July 1st at 12:50 p.m., right? Now, Matthew Dellavedova, for those that don't know, Matthew Dellavedova was a restricted free agent. The Cavaliers, I believe it works that you have, 3 days to respond to either match or decline it. The Cavaliers basically were put in a position to whether they would decide if they would match it or not. Only for LeBron James to tweet out. So that was at 12:50 p.m. That's Pacific Standard Time. 12:50 p.m. on July 1st. 42 minutes later, 1:32 p.m. Right? So mind you, the Cavs, they have a chance to try to think things over. Should we match or not? 1:32 p.m. that same day, 42 minutes later, LeBron James tweets out, "Congrats to my brother, Matthew Dellavedova, on his deal. Good luck in Milwaukee. Very deserving to you and your family." So this is the roster that you constructed. Whether you're having dudes get re-signed or you're having dudes go that you don't want to come back anymore, this is the roster that you constructed. And I understand it's one thing to sit there and say, you know what? If you don't like the way that your team is playing, that's one thing. But to publicly go out and denounce your roster and basically, and let me get this quote real quick. LeBron James, not too long after that Pelicans game, said, quote, "We're a top-heavy team. We have a top-heavy team. We top-heavy is bleep. It's me, Kyrie, Kevin Love. It's top-heavy." So basically, you're saying the key role players that you have on your team aren't worth a damn, or that's what the message that you're sending to them, certainly to the public, including Tristan Thompson, who, by the way, look, I get it. That $82 million, I don't believe he's worth $82 million because in the regular season, he's not going to give you much. He's got good defense. He's got good paint presence, a little bit of an undersized center, but he gets tough rebounds, and if he's not going to get blocks, he'll at the very least contest shots. So that way it makes it harder for you to drive in the paint. In the regular season, he's not going to do much for you. In the playoffs, however, Tristan Thompson is money. He's worth every bit of his contract in the playoffs, especially in the finals. So you're saying he's not worth anything. You're saying Kyle Korver's not worth anything. J.R. Smith isn't worth anything. You know, I don't understand where it is you're coming from because, time out. This is the team that you put together. Are you going to do this every single year? Every single year throughout the regular season or throughout the offseason, you're going to say, we don't like this player, or we need to do this, we need to do that, because you're putting, look, whether LeBron James constructed this team officially or not, he at the very least had a large, masterful influence on David Griffin in making these deals. And so you're saying, later on he said, quote, LeBron James said, "We need a bleeping playmaker," right? Now, to his defense, to LeBron James' defense, he said this weeks ago. He's been saying they need a playmaker to come off the bench. I get that. But I don't get what this roster is essentially the same as it was in last year, especially in last year's finals. What playmaker off the bench did you have last year? Was it Mo Williams? He played like 5 minutes a game in the finals. Who do you want? You want Matthew Dellavedova? Is that it? The team is the same as last year, basically. Except you added Kyle Korver and you lost Matthew Dellavedova. Other than that, it's the same. Nothing's changed. And this whole idea that no team is going to be perfect from top to bottom. You know, because we know, look, all these criticisms that LeBron James is doing right now, I understand if it's to light a fire under his team to get ready for the finals. It's not about the playoffs. Everybody knows LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers, they're going to be in the NBA Finals because the rest of the East is not. I like what the Celtics are doing. I'm not going to be fooled by the Toronto Raptors again like I was last year. Look, there's some good teams in the East, but we know that LeBron James and the Cavs are going to be in the finals. So he's talking about the finals. But there's no team that's perfect from top to bottom, right? You know what the Golden State Warriors could use? Some paint presence, right? Warriors are a bottom 10 team in opponents' points in the paint per game. They have no paint presence. Andrew Bogut was their paint presence. Now it's supposed to be Zaza Pachulia. He's more offensively based, more offensively sound. He's not going to give you much defensively. They're getting up points in the paint left and right. And we're talking about some playmaker off the bench. You're the best player in the world, right? You're chasing the ghost of Jordan, all this stuff. You've got a great team. Look, now if you want to talk about anything else, defensively the last few weeks, the Cleveland Cavaliers have been awful. I mean, they're not putting up any resistance. That game against Sacramento Kings, that was the best team performance that I saw by Sacramento all season long. All season long. Garrett Temple, he's been good all year. Tolliver, he was doing well. Collison was kicking ass. Matt Barnes hit a couple of good shots. Kufos was doing good. Willie Cauley-Stein had a great game. Probably the best game he had all season. Their defense isn't showing. It'll be a little bit better. And their free throw, that Sacramento game, their free throw percentage was what, like 50% at one point? You're not going to win like that. But they're going through a slump. This isn't nothing to panic about. But this whole idea that we need a playmaker off the bench. This is ridiculous. You're going to do this every single year? And okay, fine. Let's say you get a playmaker off the bench. Let's say you got Ricky Rubio, right? Would be perfect. I think Tom Thibodeau and the Timberwolves are doing everything they can to get rid of Rubio. I think in this era, he'll be better off the bench because in this era, you're not going to win anything with him as your starting point guard because you need a point guard that can score some points. And Ricky Rubio is not that guy. But okay, let's say I'm Tom Thibodeau. And after I hear those comments of LeBron just publicly bashing his team and saying, we need a playmaker, damn it. If we're going to do anything, if I'm Tom Thibodeau, I call up David Griffin and be like, hey, dude, what's going on? I understand you need a playmaker. I want this. I want 2 draft picks for the next 2 years, 2 first-rounders for the next 2 years, and whatever else you can package up with that. Why would you go lenient on the Cavs and say, all right, here you go, here's a playmaker for free? You just made it more tough on David Griffin to get that playmaker because now everyone knows that you're desperate. So I just don't understand. This is the part about LeBron James that's it boggles my mind. You've got a super team. I don't care what nobody says. Oh, it's not a super team. Kyrie, LeBron James, Kevin Love. Come on, man. That's a super team. It's not as sexy as the Warriors super team, but it's a super team. And we're talking about a playmaker off the bench. You are the playmaker. You are the playmaker. And no team is perfect from top to bottom. So let's see. I mean, it's going to be Warriors, Cavs in the finals. Let's see how it goes. For the record, I did pick the Cavaliers to win because, A, the paint presence of the Warriors is just god-awful. And then, B, Steph Curry doesn't show up in the finals. He's fooled me twice in the finals so far. I'm not going to be fooled again. He needs to show up in the finals. But if Steph Curry could just show up in the finals, maybe it would be a little bit different. But I do pick the Cavs to win. But all this soap opera stuff that's just going on and publicly dissing your team left and right every single year is not going to do anything. And you're making the teammates around you probably feel a little bit insecure where it's like, well, damn, now I need to please this guy, or I need to do, step outside my comfort zone and do this and do that and be a player that I'm not. LeBron James is the playmaker. Everyone else has holes on their team. Just deal with yours. So we'll be doing this once a week. This was an emergency podcast. I had to get this off my chest. Next week, we'll be talking Super Bowl. I'll be making my picks, breaking down the game and all that good stuff. Mediocre at Best podcast. This is a Blue Vision Entertainment production. We'll see you next week.